To truly understand why they are impossible to control, we must look at the foundation of their very soul, which is built on deep, unshakable inner convictions. The average person navigates life by bending to external pressures, chasing fleeting trends, or seeking the warm comfort of blending into the crowd. But these individuals do not follow the crowd. They are guided by a profound personal code. From a very young age, they observe the world through a deeply philosophical lens. They absorb the unspoken emotions in a room, watch human behavior with quiet intensity, and ask questions that most people run away from. Over time, this intense observation builds into a belief system that feels almost sacred. It is a quiet sanctuary of morals and values that they do not take lightly. If you approach them and say that everyone else is doing it, they will simply turn around and walk in the opposite direction. They do not conform for the sake of comfort. Beyond their convictions, they possess an extraordinary level of natural emotional intelligence. Most people judge a situation based solely on the words being spoken. But these deep thinkers go beneath the surface. They judge the world by what they feel, and they feel absolutely everything. They are born with an emotional radar that sweeps the room in seconds. They notice when someone flashes a bright smile, but their energy feels cold and hollow. They hear the heavy silence between your words and immediately understand what you are trying to hide. Because of this profound empathy, they can sense manipulation like a sixth sense. If someone attempts to use a guilt trip on them, they might not react instantly, but a quiet alarm bell rings in their mind. They feel the strange, unnatural pull in the conversation. They recognize exactly how the words are being carefully crafted to make them feel guilty for simply saying no. And once they see the strings, they refuse to be the puppet. Manipulators are absolutely terrified of this trait. People who use emotional games to get their way thrive on drama and confusion. But this quiet observer does not fall into the trap. They do not play emotional ping pong. Instead, they take a step back, observe the strategy, understand the hidden motive, and slowly retreat. Sometimes they will gently point out the manipulation, but more often than not, they will just go quiet. In that silence, the entire dynamic of the relationship shifts permanently. They now see the manipulator through a clear, unfiltered lens. What is truly remarkable is that they usually knew what you were going to do before you even made your move. That is how deep and vast their emotional awareness is. If your tears and struggles are genuine, they will walk through fire to support you. But if you are using your emotions as a weapon to control them, they will immediately build a fortress and leave you standing on the outside. This brings us to another highly misunderstood aspect of their character. Because they appear so gentle and accommodating, people assume they are passive. But beneath that soft exterior is a brilliant, strategic, and highly independent mind. They are constant planners. They are always analyzing the present moment while simultaneously mapping out the distant future. When someone tries to force them into a quick decision, they do not just react based on sudden feelings. They step all the way back and look at the grand puzzle. They ask themselves why this is happening now, what the true motive is, and how this sudden demand fits into their lifelong journey. They are not easily blinded by short-term gains or shallow promises. They live for the big picture. If a relationship or a career opportunity does not align with their long-term vision for peace and authenticity, they simply will not invest their precious energy into it. Their hunger for profound authenticity is deeply connected to the beautiful cultural concept of Jong, an unspoken, deep emotional bond that holds communities together through times of great hardship and joy. They crave connections that are real, raw, and enduring. They have absolutely zero interest in wearing social masks or playing shallow games. This makes them immune to the typical tools of control in our modern society. You cannot bribe them with social status, empty praise, or fleeting popularity. They do not care about being liked by 1,000 strangers. They only care about being truly understood by a few genuine souls. Because authenticity is their ultimate filter, anything that feels fake is immediately rejected. When someone tries to charm them with excessive flattery or fake smiles, the words just bounce off. They expect honesty from the world because they demand brutal honesty from themselves. The moment they realize you are performing a role to gain an advantage, They lose all interest in you. When that trust is broken, you will experience their most legendary defense mechanism. It is a protective measure born out of an absolute intolerance for manipulation. They are infinitely kind, deeply patient, and incredibly forgiving, right up until the exact moment they are not. They will give you the benefit of the doubt time and time again. But if they sense a continuous pattern of disrespect or control, a silent clock starts ticking. Once you cross that final, invisible line, the door closes forever. This is not a loud, dramatic event. There is no screaming match in the rain. They simply stop giving you access to their mind, their heart, and their energy. They will still smile at you in the hallway. They will still reply to your messages with polite, brief words, but internally the emotional bridge has been completely burned. They cut off manipulators because toxic behavior destroys the one thing they protect above all else, which is their inner peace. This happens because they possess quiet but incredibly firm boundaries. People constantly underestimate them because they listen so beautifully and make everyone feel so deeply validated. You might think that because they are so agreeable, you can push them just a little bit further today, and maybe a little more tomorrow. But what you cannot see is the invisible fortress they have already built around their soul. They do not always announce their boundaries with loud declarations. Instead, they change their behavior. They stop sharing their vulnerable thoughts. They become conveniently busy. They protect their limited social energy with ruthless precision, and they owe no one an explanation for it. This is not passive aggression. It is an intentional, peaceful reclamation of their own space. They know their exact limits, whether it is in a toxic workplace, an exhausting social circle, or a demanding family dynamic. If something drains their spirit, they will systematically remove its influence from their daily life. Ultimately, the reason you cannot control them is that they have already mastered the hardest thing in the world, which is controlling themselves. They do not fight for power over other people. They simply refuse to give their own power away. That is where their true, quiet majesty lies. They know exactly who they are, what they deeply believe, and how they want to walk their path. No amount of guilt, fake charm, or aggressive pressure can knock them off balance. They move through this chaotic world with endless compassion, but also with fierce, unbreakable purpose. If you are lucky enough to be allowed into their inner circle, cherish it with pure honesty. Respect their time, honor their feelings, and never take their gentle nature for weakness. They are the quiet warriors of the emotional world, protecting their peace, trusting their intuition, and walking away from anyone who tries to dim their light. And that is the most beautiful, unstoppable power of all.